Hi, this is Melanie. Welcome to my new channel. Today's my third video, fourth day. I accidentally skipped yesterday. I'm sorry. And today Alicia is not available to help me film, so I'm doing this solo. So I'm taking a little bit more of a comfortable, intimate approach. I'm showing you one of my activities. I like to swing in this hammock. It's very stress relieving. And it's definitely put me in my comfort zone, so I can have that free thought that I like to, just go on and ramble rather than have a written speech for you. Just whatever comes to my mind. Every day I'm going to try to post something and have it hopefully run consecutively after the last video and keep building on what we've been talking about. So my previous two discussions addressed the concept of entitlement versus deserving, as well as the dark night of the soul. And this, I think, runs into the greater concept of personal freedom and how feeling the lack of personal freedom is something that we allow to rule our lives. And essentially that creates the abandonment wound. That causes us to feel slighted by other people, that causes us to try to obligate other people. When we don't feel free ourselves, there's something in us that wants equality, and then we try to do that to other people. And the only way that, as far as I can tell, the only way to reverse out of this and then to, lessen and then eliminate the dark nights of the soul is to first hand back society their freedom. First hand back your parents their freedom, everybody you ever thought owed you something. Free them of their obligation to you, and then become your own person. And when you realize that they're free, they don't owe you anything, and that means that you're free. Take it, claim your freedom. Now this video, I want to begin to address the divine, because if you're in the process of spiritually awakening, or you think you've already awakened fully or half awakened, whatever, I don't think that there's like a percentage scale about like how awakened we are. It's up for interpretation, because some people can be rolling around in these dark night cycles for years, while other people quickly process it through months. So really, your level of ascension is about how quickly and effectively you want to work on yourself. And there's no wrong answer. There's really not. Some people do require a more gentle transition, because if they're getting these hard truths a little too soon before they're ready, it's only going to trigger them, and it's going to, cause more wounds rather than fast healing. So only you can decide for yourself. And this is why this is your solo journey. This is why, you making your journey your own, and coming upon the spiritual advisors or the literature that makes you feel most at ease, like you resonate with the message, you resonate with the process you're reading up on. This is definitely within your control. Never feel that control of your journey is robbed from you. When you free yourself, and you decide, to first trust your own intuition, and then to, perhaps cast out some of the advisors you've had all your life. If you haven't been taking their advice well, and you know that it just doesn't work for you and it makes you feel worse rather than better, cast out your former advisors and get some new ones. Get the people around you that make you feel entirely supported and safe as you heal. So today, again, I want to bring up the concept of the divine, because this is a divine's journey. This is an awakening to the powers that be. And, I was definitely not a religious person before this journey started. I liked to believe in the idea of God, but to be honest, it was just too hard to grasp. If I couldn't see it, if I didn't have evidence, if there was no real proof, I just thought before that it was just something nice to believe in. I thought that it was, a great thing to go to church anyway, optionally, like, because people were always just positive and it made you feel good. Um, but coming to terms with the existence of God in a very real, very tangible, as well as, material as well as immaterial way, like discovering the actual existence of God. To me, that was just wow. Well, first I had to hit that rock bottom moment. First, I was in probably the worst dark night of the soul ever. And I finally reached out with the most sincere request. I was so unhappy, and I finally was willing to admit it to myself that I was the cause. I knew I had poor taste in people, poor taste in men, and I knew I didn't love myself. So I reached out to the universe. I cried humbly, and I pleaded. I said, I don't know how to be happy. I don't know how to make myself happy. Please show me how. Please send me a sign, like anything, And that's when the universe woke me up very quickly. I want to say that me reaching out had everything to do with walking away from my special one, who I later learned was my true twin flame. He had chosen another woman over me, and I felt abandoned in a great way. And, I decided to cast everybody out, and just retreat into my lonesome. And I reached out for God. I wanted to believe that there was a God. And so the universe started showing me numbers, started showing me synchronicities and signs. And then the words twin flame popped in my head. Twin flame. I'm like, what's a twin flame? I Googled it. And then I looked at all the hallmarks, all the indicators that, this man that just ripped my heart a new one, this was my person. And what did that even mean? I think the greatest obstacle in the beginning is what I would call spiritual sickness. At least, I experienced it. So if anybody else is experiencing it, like if you feel stuck in your healing process because you've opened up the wound and you don't know how to close it and it just keeps festering, I was in a state of spiritual sickness at first, which other advisors will call spiritual ego. To me, it's sickness because it caused some really dreaded, it caused unnecessary extra pain and tears. To me, it was a very painful experience. My ego wasn't a very loud and angry and judgmental one towards others, but it was definitely one that kept reminding me that I wasn't worth anything. And so, and also seeking the validation of others, anything else. So the beginning of my journey was seeking all these texts on twin flames and seeking all these YouTube videos and all these people, and I was merely wanting confirmation. It's because I still had this great level of doubt in my head about the existence of God, that even though all the proof was smack in my face, it's a humbling thing to come into the knowledge that you've been watched your entire life, that like nothing you've ever done was private, that everything I've ever done, everything I've ever thought, everything that I've ever, if I've ever tried to scam people or lie to people, my worst features of myself, that all of it was watched. And at first I felt the great judgment. At first I felt like even more judged. I felt like it opened up an even worse wound. Like I just inherited a new parent I never knew was there the whole time. And when I thought of God, I was accidentally assigning human qualities to that God. So today, this video, I'm talking about the nature of God as far as my understanding. So first and foremost, the most true answer is I don't know. When people ask you, what does God mean to you, or how to define it, I've checked out multiple philosophers, centuries to thousands of years old, and I've tried to make sense of the journey from a philosophical standpoint in college, and still the most reasonable answer that everyone can have in common is I don't know, because God is so limitless, God is infinite. And even though we understand the idea of infinity, we don't actually know how to measure that. It is immeasurable. So when I think of the major sacred texts, I've definitely read a tiny bit of a tiny bit of the Bible, all the main stories, all the fun ones as kids that we knew. Like, I read all the metaphorical Bible stories. I grew up evangelical Christian. So it's like in my head, I already had this concept of God that I had to first get rid of, because my upbringing, told me that there was a judgmental God that punished people when they sinned, as well as this idea that when we're talking about humans being the image of God, in my mind there was some sort of reversal, thinking that God is like Morgan Freeman. God is a man. God is like a man in the sky, and so we've got it all wrong. So those are the couple things I can say with confidence, even though we don't know God truly, but we have a tiny perception of it, that perhaps, if I share my story of what I think of God, you might resonate with a little bit of it too. And then you'll expand your definitions with your own evidence, with your own beliefs. But the image of God, this is something that I believe with certainty, is that we've accidentally prescribed human qualities to a God. And we've also conversely prescribed God-like qualities to humans, or we've expected it. We've unconsciously expected it. So God is not a man in the sky. God is not the image of man. Man is the image of God. So God, the infinite, to me, I can make it most simple by describing it as God is the universe, which is multiple universes, which is we don't even know how many galaxies, how many universes there are. We're just a tiny little, Earth is but a tiny speck. And all the stars that are far in the distance, Canis Majoris, the Sirius, the other, those are much greater. And that's just in our galaxy. So it's like, to really know, it is a mathematical uncertainty of, I'm swatting away all these mosquitoes. It is a mathematical, calculation that, like, I'm so terrible at math. Like, could you even imagine if we could calculate the expanse